Since the signing of the illegal Constitutional Amendment Act number 3, we've seen generals only issuing a single statement, a strongly worded statement, and then it ended there. They just advised Zimbabweans to mobilize. They just indicated that they will never flinch. They characterized the current political climate, and they never actually indicated any spirit of backing down. And the general that has been on his social media account has been none other than retired General the Lieutenant Winston Sekauke Mapranka. He has kept us updated. He has responded on numerous issues, and he says their silence should never be misread. And whatever is currently happening regarding CAP 3, they are still standing on their position that it was an illegal instrument and it remains illegal. And he has signaled that when you hear the drum sounding in a manner it is sounding in Zimbabwe, it is signaling that it may be broken in no time. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. This is what exactly retired Lieutenant Winston Sekauke Mapanga shared about 4 hours ago on his account. He says, I have set in enough command briefings to know what silence means when it circles over an institution. It is not peace. So he is simply saying the silence that we are witnessing, especially from deep state, it doesn't necessarily means it is peace. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have backed down. We are hearing a lot of noise from the Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa faction. One can actually misread them that they are done. It's a done deal. And this is the impression they would love to give to their supporters. But the question is it a done deal? In my view, I've said it long time ago, that is far from being over. And actually, in fact, it will be difficult before things get right. So he continues to say this silence, it is arithmetic being done quietly by people who have not yet agreed, nor to CAP 3 madness or say the answer out loud. The CAP 3 conversation, dressed however it likes to be dressed, has reopened a debate older than its own name. The question of who is owed the next chapter and who is simply occupying the chair until someone until thank you very much, until someone with a stronger claim sits down. Institutions like ZANU-PF do not pronounce succession anxiety through statement. They announce it through sitting chats, through whose name is read first at provincial gatherings and whose endorsement arrives a week later. If it arrives at all, I have watched this choreography before. I know what it means when the tempo changes. There is a pattern reasserting itself that anyone with command experience will recognize a quiet gravitational pull towards figures with liberation credentials and structural discipline against a newer class whose standing rests on capital and access rather than mandate and in the field and in the party's own structures. This is not a new terrain in our politics. It is old terrain and it is being walked again. What is different this time around is that the discomfort is no longer fully contained. quiet arithmetics leaks once enough arithmetic leaks once enough people independently arrive at the same uncomfortable total. When that happens, the only question left is whether the recalculation is managed through within or contested out in the open where it cannot be controlled. I do not deal in rumor, I deal in patterns. And this one I have seen before. Kangoma Kabekuririsa, that is retired Lieutenant General Winston Sikauke Maplanga. Now, if you read this statement, it is pregnant enough. We are seeing a deafening silence, especially from the retired generals. The energy that we saw, especially days leading to the constitutional amendment, when it was still a bill, there was a lot of pressure that was put, court cases being actually filed left, right, and center in constituencies. But there is silence at the moment. Pressure isn't that much. Except us, who continues to spare people to actually take their power back. And according to retired Lieutenant Winston Sikauke, Mapranga is saying silence does not mean that there won't be any action, and silence does not symbolize defeat, but rather silence symbolizes calculation that is going on behind the scenes. Although ZANU-PF may be giving an imagery of celebration, if you look at even purported celebrations, they were not celebrating. They spent much of their time during those celebrations attacking those opposed to what they are celebrating, rather than convecting their, reflecting celebration in their events of which they were supposed to celebrate. We saw them launching numerous attacks to those who do not support what they claim, the victory that they claim. And that on its own tells you that the victory they are standing on, it will not be a lifetime, actually standing. In fact, they know that they are standing on a rocky position because they did not actually get the mandate of the people. They don't have the mandate of the people, and that on its own is actually a concern for them. It doesn't give them peace. If you looked at their rallies, of course, obviously people attend because they are forced or because they are lured. You know, there's a lot of hunger. If you, ZANU-PF buys a lot of KFC, they call it what? Chicken slice in Zimbabwe to lure the youth. So the youths will, under normal circumstances, because of hunger, rush to these events, only to listen to the speeches that would be spoken by old and very tired, directionless individuals. And if you can ask them, why, what did you hear? Most probably they can't tell you what they heard. All they can actually maybe say is that we ate chicken slice, and that is why we went there, or the peanuts that they would be giving them in the form of cash. So the situation may look quiet, especially particularly to the deep state, but quietness does not symbolize a defeat. It is never a sign of defeat. That is why it is causing a lot of discomfort. I would have said the Chiwenga faction has been defeated if I see Chiwenga in these celebration rallies. He doesn't attend. He's a no-show in these celebrations. Yes, once you begin to see him in the celebration rallies or any rallies associated with 2030 term extension or retired Air Marshal, Vice Air Marshal Mchena attending these events, and war veterans who have been opposed to Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa, maybe they can celebrate but this celebration is prematurely. We saw it happening before. There was celebration of the other faction, and we thought no, Robert Gabriel Mugabe was going to die in power, even though there were signs of factionalism. People never believed it was real, but the man was uprooted. As we are speaking at the moment, succession in ZANU-PF is not solved through a conference, is not solved by parliamentarians, is not solved especially by unelected politicians. And I can attest to you that the succession battle remains up and actually alive within ZANU-PF. They can only claim defeat maybe if all generals have been eliminated. As long as some still exist, that is why retired Air Marshal Muchena said, "We will not flinch. We will not sell out the Constitution of 2013." That statement on its own sealed it all, that it is still game on. Of course, this should not be read based on what you see happening. What you see happening is not indicative of the reality. Someone is trying to bury the reality, but eventually people will see how weak those who are seemingly celebrating at the moment are. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Signing off. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other side of the live broadcast.